Greetings and welcome to our exclusive YouTube channel, and today we thought we'd bring you what looks to be an interesting or very promising book titled Bruce Lee, The Tale of the Dragon Warrior by Louis Chinovic in cooperation with the Bruce Lee Estate, with a preface by Linda Lee Caldwell, Bruce Lee's ex-wife, his widow. Okay, here's some stills from Enter the Dragon where Bruce is fighting off opponents, guards with a stick, with a pole. There's Bruce Lee in action, in his kempo gloves, etc. etc. More photos of Bruce Lee in action. Table of contents, preface by Linda Lee and so forth. Preface. It has been well documented that Bruce suffered through difficult times while climbing the ladder to success. However, the significance of these hard times and how they motivated Bruce to walk on or continue on, to carry on, deserve further exploration. It is from these lessons that we can discover just what made Bruce Lee a unique individual. Bruce was an accomplished martial artist, a fitness devotee, and a gifted actor. His greatest contribution, however, lies in a field that is rarely discussed. Bruce Lee was without a doubt the most self-motivated man that Linda Lee, his ex-wife, his widow, ever knew. She had ever known. Once Bruce decided he was going to achieve something, there was no question that it would happen. So we should all adopt that attitude. If we want something in life, we want things in life, we desire things in life, we set ourselves goals, aims, plans, etc. This process of decision making was not lightly undertaken. In fact, it was often a grueling process of introspection, of ranking priorities, of delayed gratification, of trying and failing, of redirecting goals and learning always from these experiences. Bruce had a concrete symbol of his struggle that he kept with him during these early years. That symbol was simply his pair of glasses. Extremely nearsighted, Bruce wore contact lenses in public but often wore his Coke bottle glasses at home. Most of us with severe vision deficiency, Bruce sometimes fell asleep with his glasses on, or he wore them while working out when they might go flying across the room from the force of his exertion. The point is that this became an abused pair of spectacles, and during those years Bruce could not afford to buy a new pair. These glasses underwent ingenious repairs. The earpieces were wired on, the frames around the lenses were taped and retaped. This was a pair of glasses that only a mother could love. To Bruce, this was not just a pair of sad looking glasses. This was a tool of self-motivation. In the last 2 years of his life, when Linda and Bruce lived in Hong Kong and Bruce was achieving his dreams and could afford several pairs of glasses, he always kept the orphan pair on his desk as a reminder of a stage in his life he did not want to repeat. Maybe we could do the same with some object that we treasure or we value. Picking up those spectacles and swinging them from a broken earpiece, he would tell Linda that he never again would he be in a position where he could not afford even such a bare necessity such as a pair of glasses. And when he said it, Linda knew it to be true. She knew it to be the truth. She states here she had often heard it said that Bruce Lee was so successful because he had natural inborn talent. His speed, his power was only a matter of having the right genes. Bruce's father, Li Hoi Chun, was an actor in the Chinese opera. Therefore, Bruce had a natural affinity for the dramatic arts. Bruce was born with the right structural components, therefore he had a superb physique. The story goes that Bruce didn't really have to work very hard to achieve great things because he had it all from the beginning. Nothing could be further from the truth. It was not Linda's purpose to enter into debate about genetics versus environment. Certainly they both play a role. Her intention is to acquaint the reader with the notion that Bruce Lee did indeed work very hard to build an incredible body, to hone his martial arts skills, to perfect the craft of acting. The most important component of this formula for success, however, was Bruce Lee's self-determination. This quality of being a self-starter is not something that people either have or don't have. It is a learned characteristic. Bruce achieved a high level of self-motivation through meticulous study of books, from Norman Vincent Peale's Power of Positive Thinking to Miyamoto's Musashi's Book of Five Rings. He read, underlined and made notes in literally hundreds of motivational books. He wrote out in longhand his pledges and goals. He did not look at failure as failure per se, but as a motivation to rethink his strategies. The old saying that there's no such thing as failures. Failures are just a chance for you to do it over again. The mistakes that you made, right? Do it over again and this time get it right. He did not look at failure as failure per se, but as a motivation to rethink his strategies. And failures did happen, such as when all his hopes and his meagre bank account were bet on making the silent flute with James Coburn and Sterling Silliphant. When it did not pan out, this failed project became the immediate impetus to accept the offer in Hong Kong films that propelled Bruce to stardom. One of the hardest things for anyone to do in their lives is to pick themselves up off the floor, grab those bootstraps and reach for that brass ring, with the only kick in the pants being self-determination. Bruce used to say, to hell with opportunity, I create opportunity, or to hell with circumstances, I create opportunity. When he said it, I knew that it would happen. This is what Linda Lee is stating. Bruce turned his search for the best within himself into a virtual art form. Focus was the key, being centered and possessing an infallible awareness of where he was at all times. Bruce did not spend one precious second of his short time on earth reflecting on negative justification, no self-pity, no blaming others for things that didn't go right in his life, no harmful self-indulgence to tempt him from his chosen path. He did not baby himself. He plunged into the unknown future fearlessly. But well armed. However, lest you think this was a journey of self-sacrifice and torture, it was not. If there was one thing with which Bruce was naturally blessed, it was the sheer love of what he was doing. He loved martial arts, fitness, training, acting, writing, studying. This in itself is truly a gift. So there's an example for you. Find something you really love, you love doing it, and take action and do it. Okay? If you want to succeed in it, you've got to love it, you've got to be fanatical as well, to the point that that's all you can think about. Okay? And it drives you and motivates you. And be inspired to become successful, or the best that you can, or even better, the best in that particular major or field of expertise that you desire. In filmmaking, one principle that Bruce understood well was the necessity for the storyline to have a hook, something that grabs the attention of the audience. When it came to keeping his own attention focused, Bruce employed very tangible hooks. He posted motivational sayings and posters around the house. He had a plaque on his desk that said "Walk on." He wrote his goals down on paper and revised them frequently. He upgraded them, he changed them, etc. He envisioned the success he would one day enjoy. He could see it in his mind. He visioned it right within his mind. But the most tangible, ever-present reminder was that old broken pair of glasses. With them perched on his face during the lean years, Bruce would look in the mirror and swear that the day would come when he could easily replace his glasses. Later, when he had reached that goal, he used the glasses to motivate himself toward the attainment of new dreams. That decrepit, battered pair of glasses represented to Bruce the stumbling blocks that he would turn into stepping stones. He used to say, "When you look at a beautiful lake shimmering in the first blush of daybreak, think of the source." Bruce always had a keen awareness of himself and his place in the universe. Even now, more than 2 decades after his death, like a long extinguished star whose light still makes its way to Earth, Bruce Lee's star continues to shine, lighting the way for many who would follow in his footsteps. Linda Lee Caldwell. And these are some copies of his notes on the martial way, broken rhythm, etc. Here's an introduction. The basic information you'd find in any other book about Bruce Lee. It's just more photos here. Bruce at 2 months old. Here he's a kid. His first opera role. He's got this little moustache. There's his father there, Loy Hu Chun. Cantonese opera. There's his parents, Grace and Lee Hoi Chun. There he is as a little boy. Him and his brother Peter playing around, sword fighting. Bruce at 4 or 5 pouting. Portraits of the young actor. Yip Man and the Hong Kong Kid. At the age of 13 he began to study Wing Chun, an ancient Chinese martial art. His teacher was the legendary Kung Fu master Yip Man, who taught the art of detachment as much as he taught the art of unarmed combat, and soon Lee, gifted with grace and ability, became his most prized pupil. From Master Yip, Lee learned such traditional but unique Wing Chun methods as Chi Sao, the art of the sticking hand, in which practitioners in effect fence with their hands and forearms. Practicing Chi Sao with Yip Man, the young Lee was strengthening himself and sharpening his sense of touch while learning to release an energy that he later compared to floating an opponent's attack, likening it to an ever-flowing stream or a boat on waves, and so forth. Yip Man holding baby Brandon, July 21, 1965. He has a smile on his face. Ooh, he's practicing Chi Sao on bamboo. His Coke bottle glasses. Cha-cha dancing, we became the champion. 1958, something like that. Of course, all the ladies loved him because he could dance the cha-cha and more. Here's some of the people that he met. He was teaching self-defense classes. He's Linda Lee, or Linda Emery at the time. It could be Taki Kimura by the looks of it. Yeah, Bruce demonstrated a defensive tactic to Taki Kimura at right as Linda. Taki Kimura was Bruce's best man as well. Yeah, he was in an internment camp, being Japanese for years, had some problems, and sounds like Bruce Lee brought him out of that, right? Basically helped him with his issues. Okay, who's this? Bruce practicing in Hong Kong in 1963 with Doug Palmer, a student from Seattle. And Bruce teaching a class in self-defense. Okay, right, Hong Kong Tai Chi practice in 1963. Bruce's father is second from the right. Second from the right. And Bruce himself is fourth from the right. Yeah, that's Bruce there. It could be his, where's his father? Fourth from the right. He must be here somewhere. Yeah, he must be there. Kind of hard to see. Bruce working with the Makiwara board dummy, or wooden dummy. Bruce added a leg to the traditional workout dummy. Looks like his father there. Family. Famous 1-inch punch. His Chinese Kung Fu photos, probably for that book. Possibly at the Ed Parker International Karate Tournament, where he showed his 1-inch punch and demonstrated it effectively. Bruce Lee, his Kato mask and hat. Bruce Lee showing his fan a coin trick, grasping the coin and take the coin out of your hand, and he replaces it with a penny or that sort of stuff. Son Brandon, teaching him Kung Fu from that early age. And Bruce Lee's quotes, something he had on his desktop, in memory of a once fluid man crammed and distorted by the classical mess, the traditional karate, Kung Fu, right? Mess, classical mess. Some pictures of him in different costumes for future film work. Looks like Fu Manchu or something. It's Chinese connection, Fist of Fury. Going up against the Japs. There he is again. His family, his dog, friends. The Dow Hollywood, the Fury of the Dragon. What's that, Way of the Dragon? The Way of Hollywood. featured in movies with James Garner. Big Boss movie, Thailand, etc. On the set, talking with Lo Wei, director of both The Big Boss and The Chinese Connection, who was one of the film's producers. Lo Wei, oh, that's the wife of Lo Wei. I thought Lo Wei was male. That's his wife. More action on set. Yeah, remember that. Some other film where they're actually showing they're throwing dogs at him. Yeah, he was leaping high up here, so I mean the dogs are leaping even higher. So yeah, I think he was bouncing on a trampoline actually, and then they threw the dogs. Bruce and Linda. His cousin, what was his name? He was Jimmy on Way of the Dragon. He got knocked out. Yeah, Unicorn Chan. Seen him on Fist of the Unicorn years ago in the 70s. Yeah, pretty good. Not too bad. House in Hong Kong at 41 Cumberland Road in Kowloon, which was abandoned apparently. Don't know if they turned it into a restaurant, then it was abandoned. Bruce on set. Is that Nora Mia? Yeah. It actually means, I think in Chinese it actually means beautiful. I'm not really sure. She was quite pretty in her young days. Okay, Bruce and Chuck Norris. Okay, some techniques you can find in his books, Dao, Jeet Kune Do, etc. It's different stretches. A lot of these, he watched like films of footage of Jack Dempsey, etc. Great boxers of the day, and learnt a lot from watching these about American boxing, etc., which he incorporated into his martial art Jeet Kune Do. Okay, here's Bruce on set, Chuck Norris, Way of the Dragon, etc. Raymond Chow. He actually had a beard there, a moustache. Into the Dragon. Okay, some old memo here by the looks of it. Some advertising for the movie. Some stills from the movie. These people here were actually real life opium addicts, etc. Homeless, all that sort of stuff. Incorporated into the movie. I guess they gave that genuine look, right, to it. And Bruce and director Robert Klaus, Jim Kelly. On set, John Saxon, Raymond Chow, celebrating, cutting the cake, talking with John Saxon, who featured on, I think it was the first Freddy movies, as the dead cop, or cop dad, or whatever he was, sheriff. Okay, some posters promoting Bruce Lee. Betty Ting Pei, I think, I'm not too sure. Into the Dragon, about to kick Bob Wall in the Ghoulies. Bruce in Action, promotional magazines or something. It's all in Chinese. Yeah, it's just a game of death, which he never finished because he died. Right. Before the release of Into the Dragon as well. Bruce with Dan and Santo and Nunchaku's Inno's Santo, he's a Filipino. Bruce's senior student in the practice of Jeet Kune Do was actually the one who introduced him to the Nunchakus. Oh, okay. The Nunchucks. It's basically an explanation of those movies, right, that he did. Okay, after Bruce Lee's death, Linda Lee, consoled by Raymond Chow as she leaves the hospital where Bruce has just died. Well, he was pronounced dead, right? Some more stills from Into the Dragon, fighting this guy here, who apparently was a master of like 33. Han was a master of like 33 different martial arts. Something along like that. Here's some more promotionals, magazines about Bruce Lee. Very interesting book. So we hope that you enjoyed it, that we brought you some more insight into getting that mindset like Bruce Lee. Tips on how he developed that mindset and did the extraordinary things that he did. We'll look for more to see if they actually go deeper. This one started to, but it didn't, because the problem is it's more about his martial arts. Everything's centered on his martial arts and very little about his philosophy, right? So that makes it hard to get something complete, that he can, or we can bring to you based on that mindset that he had. How did he create it, develop it to achieve all that he did in his extraordinary yet short lifetime? So if you enjoyed it, this video, subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments below, and then share it with all your friends, family, etc. who just love Bruce Lee.